Hello, everyone. I am Fabian with ChristosAvatar.com, and we will be continuing our secret mysteries of ascension, Atlantis, and Egypt. It's like a playlist series. Welcome. And this is part 6. And today, we'll be talking about the Egyptian pyramids. Wow. Sphinx, about the Egyptian gods, and specifically about Isis, Osiris, Horus, Hathor, Anubis, and also about teleportation, and about the legendary Egyptian Ankhs. And all of this is from the Inner Christos, Law of One perspective, Holy Ones. Are you an indigo child? So, it was about 48,500 years ago, the Syrian Council instructed their positive Anunnaki members to make a direct show of power in Egypt and Atlantis. Because all that problem and drama developing and human sentiment, and so the Anunnaki of the Syrian Council, they visited these civilizations in mass, okay? Like reasserting the influence of like the law of one, okay? And driving many of these negative Templar Anu out of Egypt, back to Atlantis. So this is what we're up against. This is what the spiritual war is. Positive, love, light, law of one, negative, dark, against law of one. So this is where they would, pose less threat to the Ark of the Covenant. And in Egypt, in several other locations on the globe, the portals of the inner earth were fortified, as the Syrian Council Anunnaki, the positive ones, built bases of like operation on Earth's surface. We're trying to show that show of strength. So directly over the portal regions. So the pyramid structure was like a trademark of this Anunnaki architecture and scientific achievement. And so like several like small pyramid structures, they were constructed above, portal passage areas throughout Egypt. So this is kind of like, oh, there's a pyramid. I wonder if there's a portal nearby. Interesting. Now, the greatest of these operational bases, it was constructed over the main Egyptian portal opening to the inner earth. That's where that's located, through which the Ark of the Covenant portal, it could be accessed. And so now there's all kinds of interesting, secretive, mysterious things happening in that land of the Nile. Huh? So it was like at the same time, this other massive structure was constructed over the nearby Ark of the Covenant portal. So it was like the first monument, and it was to be created it was the original Sphinx. So there's so many questions about this. There's so many, like, how old is it, or who created it? What's that really look like? Well, we're telling you. And the first monument, and it was like built directly over the entrance to the main inner Earth portal. What's under there? That's what's under there. That's what's everybody's looking for, like all these records and things like that. But the big thing about the Sphinx is it's an actual marker. And it's kind of big and intimidating, so it's also the protector of the inner Earth portals. The structure itself, the main portals that go down from this area, down into the frequency modulation zone that takes you to the inner Earth territories. And from the main ones that the Rama races keep coming up from them or invading from those areas. So, because they're not just, a lot of people think the inner Earth is all enlightened and it's all positive, and it is enlightened, but it's not all positive. So you can, like I told you, you can have evil all the way up to levels, Holy Ones, all the way up to 11.5 dimension. So now it's like since that was happening, invasions were happening through the seals and portals. They had to put seals on those portals, on those stargates. Seals are blocking those beings from doing it now. Now there's secret, like security seals, right, on the portals to the light beings, the light codes. And so, these were, meant to be fortification stations of the Sphinx and the pyramid. So now the Sphinx was originally the face of a lion, and it was a lion because the Anunnaki, well, that's decided to stay with Council and who wanted help from Council, got help from a race called the Leonines. And they literally look like cat people. And they are originally etheric beings from density 3. That's high level compared to us. And, well, they intervened and they helped. And, well, the Anunnaki that wanted help to evolve. And so there's a lot of stuff that comes out of this Egypt period because of these ETs visiting and interacting with us, during these periods, and being ETs themselves, ourselves. This is where you get Hathor, the Egyptian goddess of the sky, of women, of fertility, and love, but that is a false description, basically a false creed, because, the Hathor god is actually a race, not an individual god to be worshipped or followed. Why are you worshiping? Why are you following holy ones? You are God, sovereign, free. This is, like, you can say God, sovereign, free, God, sovereign, free, God, sovereign, free, understand. And the Hathors got involved, and it's not exactly cow. The Hathors are actually part cow, part cat, part Anunnaki, part human. That's what the Hathor god is. It's a race. The teachings, when you look back in Egyptian history, there are god paradigms and religions. The Egyptian gods. The primary area that you would find the positive Melchizedek starseed law of one teachings and perspective was in the Isis, Osiris, Horus combination, and later the Hathor combination. So when you're dealing with these gods from ancient Egypt, the original pure form of what that worship of those was about, well, what it really, at its core, it's basically bringing the initiates into this inner Christos paradigm, the law of one, okay? That's what that was about, and basically designed to do, to facilitate. But of course, like usual, along the way, it got corrupted and it got taken in all sorts of directions. It wasn't meant to go, okay? As usual. So it's like every time this knowledge comes to the planet, this body of inner Templar knowledge, it's like, you see all these wars over, and we give you the history, we're going to give you the years. This information was decimated every time. It was destroyed, twisted, buried, so it was like not available to human consciousness now. So that's the whole point. They're trying to get rid of it, expose of it, replace it, distort it. So this is what most of the human religions are on Earth. They're all distortions of what it used to be. So, it's like, either understand and realize this or not. You think there's only corruption in our time period? So, they had other things, it was like, there's forces and densities and beings that did not want us to have this inner Templar knowledge, because they knew it was the keys to the kingdom. They want, there's always some being, some organization, some king, some royalty, some creature wants to control other creatures and we have dominion over them. If we knew how to work our own bioenergetic fields, and we knew this science of what it means to actually be here, why are you here, what are you, we would get control of ourselves, and they would not be able to control us. So these teachings, a little bit originally, all of the religions, there was a bit of this inner Templar within all of them. And then all of them were twisted. The main mechanics information was taken out. You can't find love in light teachings there anymore. Is that what you say is love? Is that what is light? Is that what is God? So, it's a legitimate question. Have you actually gone through this process? Have you actually felt this information? Is it true? Is it right? The negative fallen angelic ET races have, distorted almost all human religions and belief systems on the planet. I know that seems like an extraordinary claim, but this is what this whole dissertation is going to be about. I mean, not tonight. I mean, like in general, that's what the type of videos are going to be leading to: a clear, crystal clear picture that you can be your own judge. We're not telling you have to automatically believe. You can you're your own choice, free will. And regarding the Egyptian sacred teachings, they were twisted by the Jehovah Anunnaki. Also by the Odedicron reptilians, and also by Marduk, Drim, and Satane Anunnaki. Even Enlil, Odedicron Anunnaki. And how about this Pleiadian Samyasi Luciferians? Don't forget that wonderful Thoth, Inki, Zephalium Anunnaki. There's also other races like the Necromaton Andromi. All of these different negative races have distorted the sacred teachings through many different agendas and different campaigns, okay? And I'm sorry, they've also done the same thing to your precious Bible. So what are you really worshiping? What are you really serving? Okay? I mean, think about it. Let's be honest. You love your Egyptian gods. You got your Egyptian crocodile cults. You got your Egyptian falcon cults. Your Egyptian eagle mystery schools. Egyptian Set schools. Egyptian Osiris Isis mystical schools. Luciferian Egyptian teachings, so no, understand that's what we're going to be doing, is exposing. The light exposes darkness. Are you light? This is a spiritual war, or you think it's all about good, love, happy, no drama, no polarity? This is your reality fields. The creator created reality fields of polarity for a reason. So, now the Bible, for instance, they used to have these ascension mechanics. It used to talk about reincarnation. What that really was. It used to talk about how time works. You don't find those books in the Bible anymore because they were edited. They were edited by the negative Anunnaki groups, which over time developed a strong, elitist, sexist, patriarchal slant to the Atlantean and Syrian Anunnaki influence, which is, the distorted teachings of the original Templar solar initiates, from Tara, the ones who started this whole mess. We're going to keep pointing that finger. Understand? The fall of man. So the Anunnaki weren't the only ones that messed with us. There were other groups too. Like they're not alone. There's the draconian fallen angelics, the reptilians, insectoids, dinoids, yes, dinosaurs, and also the Ramas from Inner Earth. And some of the Ramas are also associated with, Sirius A, Sirius B. There's a lot going on about your real family tree. So, there's a lot of messing with our race evolution that, denied us the information that was our heritage. Do most humans on the planet know who they are, what they're capable of? Why? What's happening? What happened? We're telling you what happened, what's happening. These videos you're watching are the beginning of that information, okay? When we go back to look at,
the Egyptian, god history, and there are many gods. Hmm. It's like we're looking primarily. It's basically what we're talking about is ET history, because that's what's heavily involved in the Isis, Osiris, Horus, and Hathor issues. We're dealing with beings who came as representatives from consciousness collectives of, well, density 2 and density 3. They're not solo individuals. They're not gods, individual gods, but each, one of many that are representatives of a collective. So many people are even doing the same things with angels. These are not individuals, these are collectives. Oh, I had this experience with Archangel Michael or whatever. It's not, you didn't have him, her, it was a collective. For example, Isis is not an individual. Isis is a collective of beings, and there are numerous individuals and bodies named Isis, personalities, characters, and actually it was Isis. It was pronounced. It was not ISIS. If you want to know how something is pronounced, check with the original culture. And there's other translations, of the same name that meant the same thing. Okay, they're not, they're not referring to just one big beautiful woman. There were numerous, big beautiful women who carried that name in these stories, in the stories that you hear about Isis. Just like if you go to Mexico, you will find many people named Jesus. Because they honored what that name stood for. So some of you will name your pets, your cars, your nicknames of your mates. You will call them divine names, godlike names, angelic names, nicknames, cute names. So it refers to like the name Isis. It refers to like a collective of consciousness that has this like affiliation. It's connected to like the L races that we talked about in the history before. You know, Elohim. They go up to density 4, and out of that they have rishis in density 5, and out of that are connected to ascended mastery, ultra terrestrial collectives in the higher densities and outside of that. So again, this Isis example, if you hear about this goddess Isis, well, it is a density 1. Just the one that you're referring to is just a density 1 representative that connects you all the way up to the ascended master collectives of consciousness. So when you deal with gods, goddesses, you're gonna have some EPTs, negative beings, trying to trick you, deceive you, take away, disempower you, take away your power, consume your identity, your memory, all kinds of wicked deeds. So, these are literally matrices of consciousness. It's not some individual god that people are worshiping, in the manifestations that they sent down, to interact with this lower reality field in a D3. Well, we humans are, embodied in this 3D. And these guys were very real to the Egyptians, because they were very real. And it did, get passed down. The traditions, oral traditions, written traditions. There's so much like interest in this Egyptian mysteries and secrets, and so many ideas, assumptions, just guesses, so it's so refreshing to actually get some founder race background on it. So when I talk about Isis and Osiris, I'm not talking about mythological creatures. Okay? I'm talking about matrices of consciousness, collectives of consciousness that stood for certain ideas that have a family tree of consciousness from density 1 all the way up through to those lofty ascended master realms. Understand? So you are spirit, you are consciousness, and parts of you are in these realms now. So you're not necessarily all the time, maybe what, communicating to an ET spirit? No, sometimes they're you, your own spirit consciousness. But in the future is the higher consciousness of yourselves, your higher aspects. Why not connect to these holy beings in ascended mastery levels? Expansion to source. Just like we have connection and we trace our own connections upward through the densities, we will find that portions of our own identities are part of those collectives. We are basically affiliated with the Isis Osiris before it got corrupted. Now it's corrupted. What you're worshiping now, what are you worshiping now? Some of them were using it in the wrong way. But originally, Isis, Osiris, Horus, Hathor, Anubis concept, those Egyptian gods were the ones associated with the diamond sun or the emerald order matrices. And I talk about the starting with the highest level DNA, 48 strands, is the emerald sun DNA. And then there's a lower emerald sun DNA that has up to 30 to 48. And then there's the double diamond sun, and then below that is the diamond sun. So that's what we're just said is the diamond sun. So that's why when you go to some of the Egyptian temples, and those pyramids are temples, you'll feel better than if you go to a primarily negative Anunnaki temple. This is why when you're going to the temples now, the pyramids now, to some of us to recode the grids. Every time we run our Maharic shield, or if you learned your Maharic shield, we are setting a piece of the D12 pattern back in. Understand? We're setting a piece of our Armentana back into the earth grids. That's why we're doing what we're doing. And it's helping helping our own activation of our Kundalini when you do these grids, when you do that process, it's to heal the earth grid. We're healing it in turn heals ourselves and the life on the planet, consciousness on the planet. And as part of this process that a lot of spiritual people talk about, ascension process. It's part of the ascension process. So, back to the Sphinx and the Hathor people. The Sphinx was not meant to honor the Hathor people in particular, but the race that made all of that possible, and who was trying to bring the races together was the Leonines, okay? And it was the positive Syrian Council Anunnaki who helped to build these pyramid temples. So this is a great effort, combining the efforts of these high amped up races to create these sacred structures that are representing strength and power of the positive Anunnaki and for humans, and it's like they helped them build the pyramids and set the foundation. They're the ones who created the plans. This is an Anunnaki design. That's what you see out there. Those are Anunnaki designs as far as the temples go, and they had taught the Egyptians how to do it, and they built them together with them. And the pyramids, like I said, are temples. You have to think of it that way, I know you've got people making these books and claims and ideas, but realize that this is some of the information that you probably haven't heard before, and we're not even done. The Sphinx was designed following Anunnaki heritage, and eventually having the head of an Anunnaki warrior, like placed upon the body of the lion, like sculpture. So the lion's body of the Sphinx, with an Anunnaki head now, was a symbolic tribute to the Leonines. this like hominid, you would say, hominid felines, cat people, which are um, an Elohai race, the blue green flame of Elohai, Emerald Order. This is, connected to the original seed races of the human lineage, who were also instrumental in laying like the early foundations of Anunnaki culture. The Leonine beings were like large, upright, fur-covered felines, um, and they had advanced intelligence, and so that's why the Anunnaki, they looked up to them. This is part of their stories and their origins, and so they were revered as godlike by the early Anunnaki civilizations. So it's like you see different planets, different races. They have their own creation stories, god stories. Maybe it's one god, maybe it's several gods. So why is your god the right one and that one's always the wrong one? Sounds like a polarity. So, but this Anunnaki of the Syrian Council, they pay tribute to this heritage. And the Anunnaki and the Syrian Council, they drew strength and comfort, from the affiliation with the Leonine people. And by constructing this monument, this magnificent sacred monument, it intended to show like the power of the Anunnaki united. It's like united, built on their Leonine ancestral allies. So, some of you may have some type of spiritual, like, starseed connection or something to cat race beings, and this could be one of them. Besides the Anuhazi cat race, there's also races like the Leonines. So, and not to mention, there's actually another one, but you're gonna get all kinds of hybrids and combinations, right? So, it was like the symbolic design of the Sphinx. It was intended to show like the negative Anunnaki resistance, that they were alone in their conquest, and that the true Anunnaki heritage stood behind, the positive Anunnaki of the Syrian Council. So they're actually against the Syrian Council. It's a war. In practical terms, the Sphinx was, constructed to serve as a fortification for the inner Earth portal, the actual opening, and also as a safe house and library. It's a big building. It served the purpose of housing of the great energy ankh transmitting machines. There were machines, there were technology that were charged with what's called UHF, fifth dimensional energy, from the Ark of the Covenant. And the smaller ankhs, which were infused with this energy in a similar fashion. So they started having not just like the influence or the benefit of being involved with advanced ET races. Imagine if we were constantly having interaction and trading and learning from advanced positive races. We're so used to negative forces and ones that want to dominate us or kill us. Well, you guys, there is a polarity there. If there's bad, well, realize there's a good. So historically, the larger Ankh machines, they became known as the Arks of the Covenant. And the true identity of the Ark of the Covenant, as being like a portal, a bridge, that idea was lost. But during like the time of the original building of the Sphinx, the truth of the Ark of the Covenant portal was well known then, and I know some of you, I'm sure some of you have lived lives during those periods. You have some you feel some strong connection to Egyptian culture or those historical times, and that's just why, because you lived incarnations in those periods. So, and the Ankhs were understood as tools which could draw, hold, and transmit energy that was drawn from the Ark of the Covenant portal, from the blue flame of the Sphere of Amenti that was, stored right now in this seeding in the Andromeda Galaxy. So if the Ark of the Covenant portal was open like the right way, you could draw this blue flame, fifth dimensional frequency out and charge objects with it. It's like we live in the third dimension. We're thinking of this energy and that energy, and but imagine energies from the fourth dimension, much less the energies of the fifth dimension, a whole nother epoch. I mean, this was free power, very high power, free energy, and you can control all sorts of things with it. You know, both the large and the small tools, you can call them tools, that's what they called them, and were designed in the shape of the Ankh, which allowed like high frequency energy to be like synthesized in specific ways, following the natural laws of interdimensional energy mechanics. And of course, these advanced stellar races, they knew these mechanics, they know these realities. They interact with them regularly, like it's like we interact with our iPads and cell phones. Okay, so it's a whole nother comprehension of existing, I guess. But the Ankhs were used to create the Sphinx and various pyramids and other structures, as they provided like this power to reverse gravitational pull and directly affect the particle makeup and and morphogenic fields of earth matter substance, and they served as like major construction tools. But not just that, because they were also being used to like weather modulators, healing tools, and as interdimensional transit devices. So the Ankhs were huge power generators, and well, they took them out of here when they took them off, so we couldn't use them, and they took the crystals out, and now they have the little ones left in the shape of them, but they don't work anymore. So now there's just theories about them. So it's just ideas and imaginations, assumptions. So, but here we understanding the they took them out, the crystals out, and they just have like you could say they were once very, very advanced, and now it's taken away. They are machines. Those were machines. They could bend electromagnetism interdimensionally, and they could like cut through rock like butter, and they could even levitate rock, and that's how those pyramids and the Sphinx, they were originally built, and the calculations that were done with these things were far beyond what our science and mathematicians look at these pyramids, and not to mention, like if you see pictures or you go there, you look at these pyramids. Well, they were originally a lot nicer than the ones that are out there now today. Like, just like Google, have fun and just check it out. Like, check out White Pyramid, ancient White Pyramid or underground White Pyramid. Get an idea of how these pyramids should look or could look or did look. Understand, they were originally a lot nicer, okay? Like the ones compared to you see nowadays. So the original ones were built rather quickly, because they had this advanced technology at that point. And the original Sphinx served as also a protective fortress in which these devices could be stored and kept out of the hands of the Templar Anu. So the bad ones, what they would do, what they're known to do. So it's like the second major construction of the Syrian Council Anunnaki was this massive pyramid, right? Centered directly over over the portal opening to the Ark of the Covenant, the doorway to it, to the one in this passageway. So the pyramid was originally constructed, during the same time period as the Sphinx, about 48,459 years ago. So our calendar, that's off by 2,000 years about, so that's 46,459 BC. So the reconstruction of this pyramid occurred, like the first reconstruction, 12,550 years ago. So then again, about 11,000 years ago, the third time, it's what has come to be known as in modern times as the Great Pyramid of Giza, the Cheops Pyramid. So, man, this is like a major landmark of ET, Anunnaki heritage, human history. This has always been a curiosity. A lot of people are mesmerized, interested, peculiar, about the Egyptians. They're very interesting and very different. So, this structure was reconstructed and repaired on numerous occasions. It was designed and erected by the Anunnaki of the Syrian Council, and also the Anu Melchizedeks, the Hebrew, and the Ceres Egyptian peoples from that time period. So, when you get people asking that question over and over, who built the pyramids, or maybe it was one pharaoh, or maybe it was one period, well, now you're getting a better overview, so it was not constructed as a burial tomb, okay? I promise you, through much later it was used as such, but it doesn't mean that's what it was originally. I mean, don't assume. That's what we're talking about. Scientists love to make assumptions and claim that it's fact, So the pyramid and the Ark of the Covenant portal were situated upon Earth's gravitational center point, within the energy vortex that represented the heart chakra, within Earth's planetary bioenergetic chakra system, and this vortex allowed, energy exchange to like take place between Earth and, with the fourth chakra, that's fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's the Earth's fourth dimensional frequency bands, so the Cheops pyramid was like positioned in a certain way, dead center on the fourth planetary vortice, the planet's chakra, okay, that leads to it's like the main doorway into the fourth dimensional frequencies, to density 2, another universe. You're going to take that portal, you're going to Tara. So, and by the way, that's where they all came in. It was built as a protection. It marked that vortice, and it marked Syrian power. Syria, on that vortice. The light Syrians in power on that vortice. And it was on our behalf, on the human lineage behalf, that they were built. These magnificent structures, sacred structures, were built. And it's part of a great period of our history that you don't know of. Well, now you are realizing. Excuse me. And it's like, well, you don't have to believe everything I say. This is a matter of knowing and feeling and recognizing. So the primary purpose of the Great Pyramid of Giza was to fortify the portal of the Ark of the Covenant, but it was more than that. It's been, in its first building, the first time out of 3, on an interdimensional teleport center. Teleportation, baby, and such technology is possible through the design, and creation of what's called a harmonic resonance chamber. It's like taking this space, this dimension, and putting the space and energy from another dimension. So through which, multi-dimensional frequency bands could be pulled in from deep space, just like you're pulling in energies into your chakras right now from deep space, different dimensions, through the power of this. It was using a great Ankh, it pulled in this energy from the planetary core of another planet, from Sirius B. And through the power of the great Ankh, a tremendous amount of this UHF energy was pulled into focus within also a capstone of the pyramid that you don't see there, but people talk about the missing capstone. But but then it projected downward through the structure into second dimensional frequency bands. You can see that this is drawn in major force and power. So, and the Great Pyramid was from another dimension, and it was aligned with Sirius B. It was aligned there. That's part of this technological marvel, man. So they can almost like instantaneously have like fleet, like using the Great Ankh. It's like a position like directly below this crystalline capstone, but with this Ankh, it created like this intervention. Like it was meant to show, we're not going to have you bad guys push us around anymore. We're kind of like tired of this nonsense and distortions and attacks. And so, some of you know. And the good guys could now, because of this, immediately align with Sirius B through the pyramid and come in quickly. And it was created, to allow immediate intervention, teleportation, for the Syrian Council and Galactic Federation fleets. Should the Ark of the Covenant suddenly come under Anunnaki attack, well, so now while this pyramid was in operation, it was like once again an interstellar teleport station. And for us, that's like super high advanced technology, right? But it like served as the greatest deterrent to an Anunnaki resistance invasion. They don't know what's going to come through that gate, right? So the Great Pyramid was used as like this active interstellar teleport station, from the time of its construction, 48,459 years ago, and to about, 30,000 years ago, when an explosion in Atlantis, man, when you say the word Atlantis, sometimes you just think about suddenly what happened to Atlantis, with famous things that have happened in different periods, so, it once was a continent, then it became 3 islands, it was an explosion, and it caused Earth to, like, pull, reversal, pull, shift, slightly on its axis, knocking, but at least it knocked this, pyramid D4 vortex, it knocked it off the heart chakra, the planet's chakra, out of its, previous alignment with the vortex system, also of Sirius B, the teleportation alignment. So, and several other planetary systems, because it wasn't just Sirius B that was aligned to the pyramid, but that's the main one, the most relevant one, so, but, it's like ET visitation wasn't normal. Like, now we think it's abnormal or strange or weird, but it was normal. Commonplace in Egypt, prior to this misalignment, of the Earth's grid. But following this event, transit from other star systems required more time and resources. So, to visitation, you think there's lots of activity. Well, actually, it became less frequent than it used to be, so throughout the height of its operation, if we're going to talk BC, you would say 46,459 BC to like 28,000 BC. The Great Pyramid of Giza was also used as an ascension chamber. It was a temple. It was an initiate thing. It was, we're getting you learning. It was designed to accelerate this process, but it was for the select few who possessed the required DNA assembly, also favor of the Elohim, so such individuals were allowed passage, a few, through the Ark of the Covenant, and if the Elohim approved and opened that passageway, and some were able to ascend to Tara through these chambers. It wasn't used for everybody, so, and not everyone had this fifth strand, but the pyramid was also used as a training school for like initiates to the mixture, Melchizedek Elohim Ascension program, but also learning how to healing, accelerated. This will help you, evolve, hyper evolve, your genetics, your biology, accelerate genetic assembly, and for, passage into the inner earth portals beneath the Sphinx. So this seems like a really cool place to be. I want to be there. You were there. You are there, holy ones. And the pyramid was always under tight security, by the residential Anunnaki of the Syrian Council. So the Templar Anu, they were banned from entering the premises. So they didn't like that for some reason. I don't know. Everyone else got to use it, but the bad ones didn't, So this created much hostility between the Templar Anu and the Egyptian cultures that were operating under the protection. They were being protected, by, the Syrian Council Anunnaki. So the positive ones of the Syrian Council, they developed like finally a strong hold in Egypt at the time, creating a system of pyramids. And so when you see this stuff, you see pyramids on the planet, and like, don't you think like this is pretty freaking unbelievable? This can't be. No, what is this really? So it's like it housed like a network of PowerPoints through which the energy was drawn from the great crystals of Atlantis, through the Earth's grids, and they canaled it to wherever they wanted, whatever locations. I want to go to that time. Let's go back. Let's ascend, you guys, brothers and sisters. Let's ascend. This is a drama. This is not a fun drama, but hey, if you're indigo, you were meant to help in this difficult time. We're meant to go through some challenging times. So this is our path. The path of the light, unfortunately, is not so pleasant all the time. So, but it was about 35,000 years ago. The pure Melchizedek starseed race, they began their first full birthing wave into human civilization, reinforcing the teachings of the law of one, because they're the highest level starseed right now, the Melchizedeks. So, and bringing their 5th DNA strand potentials into the human genetic pool. When these advanced races come in, hello, some of you are advanced race. When you come in, you are representing that DNA, are you not? So, guardianship of the Ark of the Covenant was slowly turned over from the Syrian Council Anunnaki to these, now coming in Melchizedek starseeds, passing the torch. And the Anu Melchizedeks, the Hebrew, and the Syrian Egyptians, all of whom had, became members of what's called the Egyptian priestcraft. Some of you are were once an Egyptian priest or priestess, were you not? So, since the times of their creation, the sphere of the Menti, and this famous Ark of the Covenant, 840,000 years ago, they were the focus, the primary focus of human evolution, okay? As, the purpose and the process of human evolutionary imprint was held within the secrets of Amenti. And so that will end today's video, you guys. But you can see this is part of a really amazing realization that we're part of. No one's going to take this away from us. Truth does reveal itself. It does expose light. It does come and overcome the darkness. It gives you this light, enlightenment. Thank you for watching this series of videos, you guys. Please like this video. Your like counts. It adding blessing, adding energy, this positive love and care. Thank you so much, brothers and sisters, for watching it this far. You're almost there. Now let's go to part 7. We'll talk about more wonderful things. And soon you'll be through this series. And please like and subscribe. If any of you can help, please help through the donations and PayPal. I put the information. Also links to diagrams, links to videos, links to this knowledge. I love you, holy ones. Take care. Love yourself. Spread that love around. Develop yourself, enlighten yourself, master this energy system and ascend. Peace. Namaste, Holy One.